Ladies and gentlemen, today is March 3rd, 2015, and this is the KNKL Show, episode 211, my favorite number. Not 211, just 11. I am your host, KNKL, and today we are going to be jumping back into the good old painting of AHRI. Oh my gosh, we're actually done. Oh, praise the gods of Ligue des Legendos. We are finally done with this painting. And we're going to be catching up with our good old time lapses and all that stuff. And then talking through, I'm going to be switching through a couple layers, talking to you about my thought process, giving you a little in-depth on this splash art piece here. But before we get into that, I need to take you guys down a little special place called the Lovely Lane, because we've got a bunch of new awesome submissions coming in from you guys. And if you want to see these for yourself, just type in that little tiny URL right there. Or if you're watching this on YouTube, I also put that link in the description. You can go check it out all for yourself. You can like the page and submit your artwork. Get featured on the show and come get some cookies or something. I think that's what I always say. But yeah, with all that out of the way, let's go ahead and get into the time lapse, okay? Let's get into the time lapse because we came a long way. We came a long way from last time. We were, I think the last time you saw, we were about here. And if I just switch between the two documents, I just realized my door is not closed. But if I switch between the two documents, you can see this is what is happening. And let's go ahead and get into the time lapse, and I'm going to close my door. All right. Whoops. There we go. Okay, I'll be right back. Close this thing real quick. Perfect. All right, so let's go. I'm going to do my best to kind of walk you through everything that's going on. And for those of you who have been tuning in during like the last, I think this would have been like part 6 or whatever, for the last 6 weeks, we've been working on this piece here. And many of you have been asking for me to show my process for a long time on my splash art type pieces. And as much as it is like annoying to kind of do this stuff because like I really like to focus on comics now, nonetheless, it was good to get back into it. It was good to kind of have a fresh start and made me realize once again why I don't do this stuff as much anymore, because it takes weeks. I showed you guys it takes weeks, and this was just a side project. It took like 6 weeks. But even in the office, like where there was nothing to do but this. Like you would spend so much time rendering, so much time getting feedback, changing this and that, adding little details, taking away other details. But I don't know. You could say there's a love-hate relationship with me and splash art, because at the end it's like I'm always really proud of my work, right? Because it's like, man, look at all the hours and all the, just the time and effort. There's always like this journey. It's like a journey every single splash art. It's like you start out, you're like really excited, you get a thumbnail, it's just like this is gonna be freaking awesome, and you can't wait to just go for it, and you're going, right? You start laying out color comps. Man, that looks awesome. All right, let's do it. The line art looks great. And then you start like putting it all together, and then you embark on the journey, and you start to kind of like starve yourself. You're like in the jungle, the wilderness. You can hear the monkeys. They're like swinging from the trees, and you're like looking up, and they're looking at you too, like wondering if they can like swing down and like eat you or something. I don't know if monkeys eat humans. Actually, I think they attack them, but it's very rare. It's very rare. But maybe snakes. Snakes, that's better. They're swinging from the trees, from the snakes, and the snakes are looking down at you, waiting to see when they can come down and turn you into their dinner. All right. But nonetheless, there's like this weird time where you go from like really excited, really happy, and then you kind of like go to this point where you're just like really depressed, like slowly you go into the valley, the shadow of death, right? You're just like, when is this splash actually going to be done? And it's like nothing is turning out right. This lighting is totally messed up. We got to change this freaking hand or whatever, or these colors are not being balanced. There's all kinds of problems that you run into. But lo and behold, if you stick it out, you eventually make it to the very end, and you see the light at the end of the tunnel. You start coming back out, right? It's the seasons, right? You go into the winter, come back out into spring. Time to go to summer, go to Hurricane Harbor, and go play in the pool. Well, actually, I don't know if that's very sanitary nowadays, especially since my girlfriend has made me. I'm basically like, what's the word? I'm a germaphobe, but also like, I think I'm becoming one of those people that always thinks they're sick. Totally forgot what that word was, but nonetheless, that's what it's all about. All right. So anyway, I totally just wasted all your time by giving you an analogy instead of talking about my thought process, which may or may not have been intentional, because I don't know exactly how I would explain this time lapse here, other than, yeah, I'm like drawing some hair in here, and then I just like said, hey, we should have like a consistent lighting source. We should get that ball like lighting everything. But fear not, because we will take some time. We'll slow it down. I've actually learned to not try to explain too much during time lapses, because I find them to just be more entertaining. So I hope that this is the entertaining part. And then after this, we will go into the more in-depth type stuff. But yeah, unless I do see something that I want to pause on, like for instance, like these designs, I really wanted to make sure that the designs on her clothes were all they had like the same shape language, right? Same shape language. Oh, and I tried out the hairbrush for the first time, finally whipped out a different brush, had amazing results with it, the hairbrush. I don't know if I have that one on my DeviantArt. I trimmed down the brushes on the DeviantArt because there was like 20 brushes and I didn't want to overwhelm my viewers, so I kind of cut it down a little bit. But nonetheless, I did try a new brush today. Had amazing results painting these tails, and then I just kind of blurred them. I'll show you again how I do that as well. I'll show you a little trick. In fact, I will make a note of that, otherwise I might forget it, because I know I say stuff and then I always forget it. Okay, so blur. I got to teach you guys how to do that blur trick. All right. Hypochondriac Crooksay says, thank you, I'm a hypochondriac. Also, thanks to Jalebi Baby. And you guys can feel free to call her that in the chat if you'd like. Jalebi Baby. Bunny Mom also works. All right, so let's finish up the time lapse. Finish it up. Done. All right. So let's talk about some layers, shall we? Let's talk about a few things, and also the blur. Let's talk about the blur, because that is very important. I can see Jalay's really liking that comment there. All right, so let's move on. All right, I'm being naughty today. I'm really sorry. All right, so let's go ahead and talk about this stuff. Okay, so let's talk about where we left off, right? Let's talk about where we left off. And you can see here that we have the ball, and I want to talk about the ball. Because in the time lapse, I was actually pretty bummed out about this, but it kind of blew up, and then I lost the time lapse of me actually creating AHRI's ball, right? So let's go ahead and actually zoom this out. There we go. All right, so this was originally what our ball was, and I'm going to go ahead and open up this group so you can see everything. You can see everything that this group comprises of, and that is a little bit of like this overpainting here. What's next? Oh, some other overpainting. Then you have this thing set to lighten. I don't know exactly why that is. Oh, I think I just duplicated this. It's the same layer. I just duplicated it to make it brighter. That's something that you can do when you're creating spell effects, is just kind of duplicate things. But I'm going to show you a quick little tutorial on how to create magic, a really easy way to create magic. Okay, so you got that, and then the glow. And then this is basically just a normal layer. Okay, so let me teach you guys a cool way and an easy way to create magic. Magic. All right, so here's what you want to do. So the first thing you're going to want to do is make sure that the background that your magic is going to be existing on, you'll notice how I didn't choose to have the ball or like the background as bright as it is here. Whoops. I chose to not have the background as bright as it is here because, again, if you're going to have a bright light source, it helps to have a dark background, much like here. So keep that in mind, number one. Okay, so the second thing that you're going to do is I'm going to ask you to make a new layer like this, and you're going to set it to the magical thing called hard light. And this is a bit of an addictive layer style. I will warn you, you may get addicted to it. I want you to be careful. Be careful and use this with caution. So the first thing you're going to do is I like to use like a soft brush, right? And originally I had an idea of what the ball was going to look like. It was going to be kind of like this. This was another idea I had, but it was just not, it was kind of getting too noisy. And you'll see that it's different from the original one over here, but, or from the one that we ended up going with. So let's see. Okay, but back to hard light. Okay, so the first thing you want to do is start using this, and then just start kind of sculpting in what you want your magic to look like, okay? So you're kind of using this, kind of do some of these things in there, you know. And what the hard light does that I personally like that just a normal brush won't do is that it automatically simulates. See how it like kind of like automatically simulates the glow that's going to happen on the objects around it. Whereas if it was normal, let's switch it over to normal. See what it does? It just kind of like clouds it. It looks kind of cloudy. But when you do it with hard light, it looks cool. All right. So let's go ahead and kind of do one of those things. And this is just kind of a quick example. You know, this obviously takes a lot of time, but this is just a quick way to create cool magic looking things. So again, we're still on that same layer. You can create another layer if you want, set it to hard light, but just start adding in some other elements, right? Like this. Is that looking right? Yeah, we'll kind of do this. And think about your hue shifts. I really like to do hue shifts from like, say, green to blue, or like teal to blue. You'll see that that's basically what I used in the final one. See, over here. There's lots of teals towards the middle, and then it kind of fades to like blues and purples on the outside. Okay, so we're kind of starting with this. You want to think about building it up in layers. Build up your magic in layers. Okay, so that's a good start right there. Okay, now what we're going to do is create a new layer over top of that. And now we're going to start adding in details. Details. So now you can start kind of putting in the hot kind of white lights that go through it. And again, because you've already handled your aura, right? Or like the glowiness around it, now you can start painting in bright colors like this. And you can sort of get one of these, get an effect kind of like that going, you know? And really, I would encourage you guys to just, again, it's just going to come from like practice and like finding shapes. Like you want to find shapes. Very important. But really, it's just going to come down to creating flow and experimenting. And you'll see, I'll show you a couple of the AHRI balls that I came up with. And I'll discuss why I liked certain ones and why I didn't like other ones. Okay? So there's an example of how to create magic. And it looks already glowy, right? As opposed to all just normal and cloudy like that. See how it looks kind of cloudy? So anyway, that is the beginning. Let's talk about these balls. All right. So this is the one that I did not like. And the reason why I didn't like it was because I was trying too hard to go back to my old mentality of, oh, well, it's a splash art, right? All you got to do is just make sure there's lots of texture in it. Lots of little texture, and it's really sharp at certain points. And it ended up making it look very, I don't know what the word is. There was almost like too much detail. When in doubt, I always like to simplify things. As interesting as that sounds, if you're running into trouble with realistic painting, sometimes the best thing to do is simplify. So I did that one there. That's our example. And then we got to this one. And this one worked out really well. So let me go ahead and deconstruct this one. Let's deconstruct this ball. So you can see here, so you can see there's some overpainting. And actually you'll notice what I do, especially like in here, I actually paint darks back into it. I painted darks back into the ball, you can see. And then that sort of simulates you looking through it. Instead of like erasing it, I just find it easy to just kind of paint darks in again. So I did that. And then see this right here? This is all a normal layer. Normal layer. Let's take away. Wait a minute. Normal. Where's the actual glowy layer? That must be it. Okay, that's the glowy layer. Huh. I'm surprised this isn't on hard light. I guess it should have been. Okay, well, I guess it doesn't. Oh, the reason why I guess it doesn't have to be hard light here is because I already used a dark color. But you can see it's already got those purples in there. And then I add on the blues and sort of teals. And then that creates the glow effect. Same thing as hard light, basically. It's just hard light is a good way to get started. All right. So that deconstructs the ball. And let's move on to the blur. I'm going to move on to the blur. And then I'm going to take any questions that you guys have. And then we'll end today's show. All right. So you might want to know how I made these tails in the front. How I got those to look like they're doing a little focal trick, huh? I'm going to show you how to do that right now. Okay, so first of all, let's take away, these are actually just a layer. Very interesting, no? Let's take away all these tails and let's put these ones in. Okay, so the first thing that you want to do is you want to create your layer as though there was no focal trick on it at all. I did a slight little focal trick with the hand down here too as well, but I'll show you on the tails because they're more exaggerated. Okay, so you can see here the tails are all on one layer. Now, if I was smart, I probably would have put these tails on their own layer, but because I kind of suck and I haven't done this in a few years, I kind of have to do the good old lasso trick, right? So kind of lasso, doesn't need to be perfect, right? As long as you get the tails in there, then you can you select what you want to blur, and then you're gonna hit Control J. Okay, Control J, which is the shortcut for duplicate up. Duplicate up. All right, so now let's go ahead and go to Filter, Blur, and then you're gonna go to Gaussian Blur. Gaussian blur, Gaussian, I don't know. Doesn't matter. Okay, and now here's your magical tool. Look at that. Now that you have selected the tails only, you can blur them. Can you see that happening? Can you see them getting blurred? Now what's interesting is that when you do it this way, because, okay, so check this out. If the tails are gone, see, just these tails exist on this layer, and we're technically only blurring this part of the layer. But because we duplicated it up, the same tails exist behind it. So basically, think of it as we're adding like a blurred sort of haze on top of it, as opposed to just blurring the tails, if that makes sense. But what's interesting is it creates sort of like this cool feeling where there's some hard edges in it, but it also has a blurred feeling on the inside. So that's kind of like by accident, but I saw it and I was like, oh, I like that a lot. But you want to be careful not to put on too much blur, because once you put on too much blur, you can see how those sharp edges start to come through, and then your front layer just turns into a blurry mess. So subtlety is key here, okay? Subtlety is key, don't forget it. All right, so that is your tutorial. That is your awesome tutorial. All righty then, peoples. I think you know what's up next. It's time for the question catapults. All right, ladies and gentlemen, please cast your questions over the castle walls as has been instructed in Ja video. I'll answer them. But yeah, till then, let's just get back to this. Is there anything else that I want to talk about? Oh yeah, let's deconstruct. Let's deconstruct what we can from this splash, because I usually like to go ahead and I usually like to flatten a lot of things like every so often, because you get like 70 layer. Like look at this is like layer 74 over here. And like the layers get big fast, and I like to flip my canvas a lot, as you saw in the time lapse. So if I don't compress things and flatten things out, then it takes forever for like the canvas to flip back and forth, and it's just a pain in the butt. But anyway, let's go ahead and get into deconstructing. Let's deconstruct this thing. Yeah, let's take a look here. All right, one by one, we will take layers away. Okay, so this is just like little tiny little final touches. There's lots of little things. Before I call a splash complete, I will sit and look at it for, you know, like a little while, like probably like the last 30 minutes, or even if I can't, I'll just sleep on it and look at it the next day, which I probably will still end up doing with this. Might make some changes to it, but take a look at this. This is one of my favorite things to do with the hard light. Remember the hard light layer? See, you got it right here. And the glow, or as I like to call it, the bloom layer, is one of the final things that I do, and it just kind of fills in and softens the piece a little bit. Mostly thinking of where the light is coming from, where the brightest lights are. For instance, the ball and the sky behind her. Kind of let a little bit of that color spill through the rest of the piece, and it looks really nice. All right. Questions coming in. Cruxay is asking, I have all these poses in my mind, but I just can't draw them. Any anatomy figure drawing resources you recommend? Besides YouTube, I mean, you can type in anatomy, anything, and it'll give you some on YouTube. But actually, my recommendation is, the one thing I will say is be careful of looking at techniques or tutorials that teach you stick figures, because I personally don't think that stick figures help with creating poses and stuff, because it's just like you're working with like a flat character, right? I teach you guys to draw with shapes. I teach you to sketch with shapes. That way you can have an idea of the volume that is going to be present in the body. All right. And speaking of that, I will be having a class going up very soon on that. If you're curious about joining up on that. It's going to be on Skillshare. Should have been up a little bit earlier this week, but it'll be up soon. I'll post it on the Facebook. All right, next question. Mel's Bagels is asking, sometimes I have trouble making hair look right on my characters. Advice for coming up with hairstyles. My advice to you, if you're having trouble making it look right, I would personally go straight to photo sources. Like, go straight to photo sources and just pay attention to how different hairstyles look. It's mostly going to be how, like, you can see my hair, like, interacting with the light. See the sheen of it from the greasiness of it. But yeah, it's really important to just take a look at photo references first, see how the hair falls, like the different ways that it goes, and consider the crown, right? The crown where it starts. Like, don't just have hair popping out of anywhere, like, unless you're drawing like a crazy anime character and it can defy the laws of physics. But for the most part, I would say take a look at photo references, and you will live long and prosper. All right, next question. Let's see here. Got a big question coming in from Dude of Hazard. Let me see if I can answer this. Having trouble getting some mid-range values to work. Wondering what I'm doing wrong. I use the darkest value as my brush color, then I try erasing it for the mid-range values, like you stated, but I can't seem to get it quite right. Can't seem to get that soft blending look you get. Well, the best thing that I would say to do, Dude of Hazard, the way that I go in and I blend stuff later is I'm actually using soft brushes a lot towards the end. Like, say if I wanted to blend this, like say you got like hard edges and texture that you don't want, what I'm going to ask you to do is get out your soft brush and then create a new layer. Now watch this. Check this out. Here's how you can soften your edges. So you just kind of take the soft brush and then just kind of blend, doing the Alt-click method, right? You got your thumb or forefinger on the Alt button, so you can eyedrop and just easily blend like that. Now you can see you have a soft edge. And then what you can do, you can see how it spills over into this area. What you can do is, because it's on its own layer, you can go back and kind of erase it, you know? So say it's like that and you don't want it to be like that, you just go through. You can use a hard brush, or you can just make your soft brush really small and just erase it. And that's how you can create softer gradients and all that good stuff. All right, next question. And yeah, it does take practice. It takes practice, and it's just something you gotta get the feel for. Oh, how do you prevent the canvas from rotating because of your tablet? Farmville's asking. That is a great question, because yeah, I have that same problem, because you can see here, actually that's not showing up, but on your Wacom tablet, you can actually go into your Wacom properties. In fact, I'll probably just pull that up. Why not? You can go into your Wacom properties, and then what I like to do is on the little wheel here, let's let this thing pop up. So if you go to your, is it mapping? No, it is under functions. Yes, touch ring. So what I like to do is I like to set this top option to disabled. So that way, no matter what happens, if you touch that little ring, it won't do anything. So I just set that to disabled, and then your canvas will no longer rotate and be a terrible canvas. Be a, I was trying to look for a disobedient canvas. Your canvas will obey your every word. All right, last question. Last question. People thanking me for everything I do. Thank you very much. Thank you, John Bourbon. Thank you for tuning in. I love all you guys. You guys are awesome. All right. Any homework for you guys after this tutorial? Yes. Your homework is going to be to help me promote this on the League of Legends forums. I'm going to be posting about it on the Facebook. We're going to be posting it on the forums, because I'm also going to be making a fan art spotlight for those of you who have been missing the art spotlights from League of Legends. And I'm going to be posting on the forums, so I'm going to need your help with that. So other than that, make some magic or something. That's your other homework. That's your actual homework. But yeah, we'll be getting to that soon. All right, people, we're going to end today's show. Thank you guys for joining me for another episode of the KNKL Show. You guys take care of yourselves. Until next time, stay sharp. And this AHRI piece will be uploaded on my DeviantArt probably the next 10 minutes. So it'll be up there for you guys to enjoy. Until next time, you guys take care. See ya.